After last night's defeat to Olympiacos, a lot of talk has been going on amongst the West Ham fans about David Moyes and is he back under pressure? It seems like some of that tension from last season has been sort of rising back to the surface after us facing a few defeats now in a row. And a defeat to Everton, could that put the pressure back on amongst the fan base? You know, we'll be talking about that. And I said, I can't believe already we're talking about this, but yeah, big game riot on Sunday and disappointing result last night.
Yeah, not a great performance last night, mate. I know you done a match reaction after, but yeah, I mean it was just wrong from the start. I mean, as soon as the starting lineup come out, it was just negative. You know, Danny Ings, like I'm starting to feel a bit sorry for him because we know Ings is not a lone striker. Everyone can see that. So why, if Moyes is going to play him with a two, put him up front with Mabama or even Antonio. You know, give him someone to feed off because he's not that sort of striker. Maybe 10 years ago he probably could have done it, but it's difficult for him. But yeah,
Chicharito all over again, isn't it, mate? It kind of
yeah,
feels like that when we had Hernandez.
I think a lot of players let us down last night. You know, I said it on a tweet that I put out is that a lot of these fringe players, the problem you get when you play them together is they play as individuals and not a team because they're trying to impress. Like when they get a chance to have a strike from 20 yards, they're going to try it. You see Ben Rama doing it a couple of times. And Ben Rama's frustrated because he's probably the closest one out of the subs that's really on the fringes of getting in the first team. But yeah, look, it's what you got to look at it is we've been 17 games unbeaten in Europe. It was going to come to an end at one point. Olympiacos is a tough place to go. You know, we haven't got a big enough squad to play a full strength team Thursday, Sunday, and then Wednesday, you know, and then Sunday again. It's difficult. So, but I thought there was a few players that I was very disappointed with last night. But Moyes has to take criticism as well. Look, you know me, I've always been a sort of, I'm not a David Moyes fanboy, like, you know, but I've always backed the manager. I always will, you know, because I want him to do well, you know. But if he makes mistakes, I'm going to call him out, just like when players do it. Players make mistakes in games, we call them out after. So
Yeah.
David Moyes has got to take a lot of criticism for last night. And I'm hoping that he gets the team selection right on Sunday and we can bounce back because we've got 2 defeats in a row. We've not won our last 3 now. So, yeah, we need to get back to winning ways.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the thing is, with the fringe players and the bench players, you know, I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, Ben Rama's shit. Get rid of him. 4 hours is shit. Get rid of him." Like we're dismissing a lot of these players that have come on as bench players as just shit when we've seen them play well. We know they can play well. It's not just as simple as they're crap. And I think some of it is what you said. A lot of that is they're just trying to work too hard to, you know, impress and to make a name for themselves. And obviously they're not getting match fitness because they're not playing well. Moyes obviously doesn't rotate too much and they're not getting many minutes off the bench even. Do you know what I mean? He's very hesitant to make subs in games. So you're not seeing Ben Rama come on and get 20 minutes consistently off the bench week after week, and same with Fornals. So these players that now we're asking to come in and do a job against a sharp Olympiacos side, and they did look much sharper compared to us, they're not going to be on it. And that is the problem. That's the concern for me, because the games are going to come thick and fast, right? We're going to have more games in Europe, and we hopefully get through the group stage and go far in this competition. We've got obviously the EFL against Arsenal, and then we've got AFCON coming up. You're going to have a lot of games grouped together. We're going to have to rely on some of these players, and we're going to have to rotate. Otherwise, this starting 11 is going to get burnt out. And if we get injuries, we're in trouble. I think that is the big concern for me overall. Not so much as like what's the limits of the strongest 11. It's the squad depth on paper. I think, like, if you look at the individuals, you go, yeah, that player could easily slot in. But it's the lack of ability to rotate, I think, with how many minutes we're giving these players.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing is, it's going to be interesting on Sunday because Emerson's suspended for 1 game and Soufal's got a muscle injury. So we might lose both our fullbacks. So, you know, David Moyes has got a big decision on Sunday whether he goes to a back 3 and try something different, because the way I look at it, I mean, even Ward-Prowse, I mean, he started the season brilliant, but the last couple of games, he's just looked a bit off. And that's because he's been asked to play in a different role, a bit of a deeper role. You know, you're right. They will get burnt out. And I know we're only like 9 games into the season. And I'm not, believe me, I'm not one of these people that are going to sit there and stress and think, right, Moyes out. Moyes has got to go. He has to go because, look, I'll be honest with you. As long as we're the board won't sack him unless something drastic happens where we go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games without a win. They will see it out to the end of the season. I believe David Moyes will leave the club at the end of the season. They won't renew his contract. Someone else will come in, but they won't sack him just as a sort of golden handshake for what he done for us last year, winning the Conference League. But unless something, because you've seen it with David Moyes. We'll go 2 or 3 games without a win, and then we'll get a couple. Then we'll just float about that mid-table. Yeah. We'll have a good run in Europe, hopefully, and that will just see him through to the end of the season. And I can't see him getting rid of him. So for all I know, look, we all like to stress and shout and moan and tweet and show our frustrations, and everyone's got a right to do that. But when you're sitting there constantly just non-stop going on about David Moyes, it's going to do your head in, and you're going to end up fucking hating West Ham and that. And I think that it's just got to that point now, whether you're Moyes in or Moyes out, let's just get behind the team and let's hope that we can bounce back on Sunday because it's a big game.
Yeah, I sort of said this on my review yesterday. I was someone who was Moyes out at one point last season. You got to the point, and I was tired of the football and the results, and I wanted him replaced. This season, I can't see myself going back to the point where I'm calling for the manager to be sacked unless we're getting to that point where we get back into a battle and we're at the cups. Because, like you said, he's going to be here for at least the rest of the season. We know that as long as they don't renew his contract, he can easily be let go, and then we can have a fresh new beginning next season. Now, I understand some people said to me, well, then you just write off another season. I would rather do that than just sack him when we're not really in any danger, and then have to get a manager to come in mid-season and maybe not get the optimal manager, rather than have Steidton take his time leading up to the end of the season to try and identify the right person. That's optimal for me. So I can't see myself, as much as the football's bad, and if the results go bad, I can't see myself getting to that point unless it looks drastic to me.
Yeah, unless like there's the perfect option out there at the moment that could come in. Because I think, look, I think what Moyes has done for the football club, look, when you look at the record since he's been back, I know the football hasn't been great, but you look at the 6th place finish, 7th place finish, Europa League semi-final, Conference League win. You can't take that away from him. It's not just him; it was down to the players as well. I know that, but you got to get to that point now where they've got to start planning. They've got to start planning to think, who are we going to bring in to replace David Moyes? And as we both said, they will see it out to the end of the season, unless something drastic happens where you like you said, we're in the bottom 3 at Christmas or whatever. But if we can just, because I see you the other day when you was arguing with that Palace fan on the on that
Race for Europe,
Race for Europe show, and like that's how bad it's getting when Palace are piping up, because I see him saying about they finished above us, but our worst Premier League season last year was still bigger than any they've had in their history because they've never won a major trophy. So, but look, it's all football banter at the end of the day, and clubs have got a right to have a go at each other and have a laugh, But for us, there's a lot of players that I feel like Paquetá, the last few games, as much as I love him, I find him now that he's strolling around a lot more, and I find that when he's not getting the ball, he's throwing a little bit of a strop, where we know he loves to do little tricks and flicks, but sometimes you've got to roll your sleeves up. Last week he cost us 2 goals against Villa. Last night there was times when he come on that he was switching off. But look, I'm not going to criticise him too much because he's a great player and he's probably one of our best players. So
do you think some of the problems has been him playing on the wing a lot of the time? And
I think I'll be honest with you, I think he actually enjoys it out there. I think with the relationship he's got with Emerson, he's got that free role where he can play out on the left, but you see it most games where he just drifts inside and then he'll get a bit of cover out there. That's where I think that where James Ward-Prowse, because if you look in the first few games of the season, when Paqueta was drifting in, Ward-Prowse was covering him. But he hasn't been doing that the last couple of games, and that's where we get a lot of where the other teams are getting a lot of space in that area. So it's something that we definitely have to work on, 100%.
You touched on Ings as well, right? I've got to ask you about this. Mubama, right? Because he was a player that potentially could have gone on loan. There was an chance for him to go on loan at the start of the season. Moyes blocked it, said you're going to get opportunities. Now, if we're seeing consistently, like you said, Ings is doing nothing up top on his own week after week, why can Mubama not get game time? I don't understand if you don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, he's the club people in the back have been raving about Mubama for seasons now. He's smashing it in the under 21s. He's been doing it like for years now. And then when I've seen him in the first team, he's never let us down. You know, he's got himself. I think he got 2 goals. I know one might have been one got chalked off, but
yeah,
I'd rather see him run about chasing the ball than Danny Ings. But then again, I'd rather see him and Ings maybe start together. Because as I said at the beginning, Danny Ings is not that sort of player that can lead the line. Antonio, even though he frustrates the life out of me sometimes, at least he chases defenders down and at least he's got a bit of strength about him and he can knock defenders off the ball and try to create stuff. Danny Ings is not that type of player. So as I said, I feel really sorry for Danny Ings sometimes. I think he's been treated wrong by David Moyes. You know, when he come into the football club, I think we all done it. We all sort of raised our eyebrows because it come out of the blue. We weren't even linked with him, and then we just signed him. And then you're thinking to yourself, is that us signing someone maybe for the Championship? Because at that time we would
panic buy.
Yeah, panic buy for someone that we could maybe do a job in the Championship, and then we've obviously stayed up. I think he's on 125 grand a week.
Yeah, I think he's our highest paid player, which is
that's exactly what's wrong with this football club. And look, Danny Ings has been offered that money. It's not his fault. So I'm not having a go at Danny Ings. If any of us were offered money like that, we're not going to turn it down. So it's not Danny Ings' fault. But yeah, it comes down to the manager. It comes down to David Moyes.
I think I see someone make this point. It might have been Nick, to be fair. You know, with our youngsters, you know, they won the FA Youth Cup last season, which we were at. Then they won the Premier League South, you know, and got to the playoffs. You know, these excellent youngsters we have in this club are getting nowhere near the first team. And we've got these players who, you know, are on the fringes, on their way out, are getting this game time, you know, and it's a bit crazy to me why they can't really get a look in when we've seen how well they've done. You know, we was at the Arsenal game, right? The FA Youth Cup.
Yeah,
we saw the talent there. How they can't get near it is mad.
There is loads of talent in the youngsters. Callum Marshall has been on fire, but these players. Sometimes I understand why they're not chucked in because the Premier League is a higher pressure. But when you've got games in Europe, and I'm hoping that we might see a couple against Arsenal. Look, Arsenal's a big game because I think the League Cup, anytime Man City goes out, it's open. It's open for teams to come in and win it. And it's a competition to win because Man City have dominated that cup competition for the last few years. So,
yeah. Bit like, there he is. Got update. Like I said, he ain't turned his laptop on in 2 months, and now.
Mate, it's been a nightmare. That I got logged out of the StreamYard, everything. So yeah, sorry.
But yeah, we're just talking about the youth players not getting in. And the thing is, it's not, to me. People go, oh well, you know, you want youth players in to start. They don't have to start. Like even 10 minutes off the bench here and there, it get experience. You see it, so many teams do it, is you have these youngsters and you want to get them in, you slowly bed them in. You give them that taste of Premier League football, bring them off the bench last 10 minutes of a game and then again, and then you climatize them to the pace and speed of the Premier League. We're not doing that.
Yeah, the thing is, like with us, I mean, we'd love to see youth players get a chance, but thinking about, like, put yourself in David Moyes' position now. Like, in the Premier League, it's about results. It's about getting the wins. We all want to see that attractive football, and I get that. But he's not going to put pressure on himself by playing youth players. He needs to get points and he needs to win. And unfortunately, that's why a lot of youngsters, not only at West Ham, down many Premier League clubs, hardly get chances anymore. You go back to the time where Joe Cole, Carrick, Lampard, Rio, Defoe all broke into the West Ham team because we had no money to spend and we had to bring them through. But now we've spent 400 million in the last few transfer windows. That's a lot of money for a club like West Ham. And then you've got other like Man City and United and Chelsea, and they spending like billions. And it's just that it's a shame really, because there's probably been a lot of youngsters leave West Ham that we've not even properly seen that could have gone on to be great players, but just never got that chance. And then you've never seen them go down the lower leagues and impress.
What was yours, Scott?
Go on, mate.
Obviously you joined. We spoke about the Olympiacos game. I wanted to get your take on the game, and the result and what went wrong last night.
Well,
before we get to the comments.
The thing that amazes me with it all is that he seemed to start Benrahma playing as a 10 and 4 nails on the left. So we've got a player that naturally we play out on the wing when he, nearly week in, week out. And 4 nails, I think me, you, Dan and Ryan have all been quite vocal that we'd like to see him playing as a number 10 through the middle.
He looked great there in pre-season, and I think he played there against the Bournemouth game and looked great.
Yeah. And he puts him out wide left. And look, Moyes, like you said, because I was watching while I was waiting to come on, but like you said, Moyes takes a lot of criticism for last night. The rotation, look, I get the rotation. We've got a lot of games coming thick and fast. There's players been away on international duty playing for their clubs, but the level of performance that them players put in wasn't good enough. But I don't think Moyes helps the way he sets the side up sometimes. Souček playing a full 90 again. You can't be doing that in these sort of games. You need to look to change things up a bit. I know Alvarez needed a rest and stuff like that, but it is like you said, like you were saying, the lack of minutes that the fringe players are getting. And then you're expecting them to come into an Olympiacos side that they're a decent side. It's not like we're going to play, no disrespect, the Serbian lot who are half decent, but Olympiacos are levels above them. It's a game that you needed to win. And he can't keep using the excuse that we've got one eye on Sunday. We're playing Everton.
I know you're saying like last night was a must win, but even though we lost, we're top of the group still, and we've played probably the 2 toughest teams away from home. And we've got 1 win and we lost last night. And now we've got them 2 teams at home. So I still think it's in our hands to win this group. And I think it's important that we win this group.
Yeah. I just wanted to win it a little bit earlier so then we could then rest the key players. And then we didn't have
come on, Dan. We've had two years in a row where we've won it with a game to spare. Stop being greedy.
I know it's with the fixture part up, it's vital. But yeah, I mean,
no, you're right. Win it as soon as you can.
Yeah. But Scott, what do you think of him as well? Like, he seemed to be playing a bit deeper. Yes, in the last couple of games, in fact, almost like he's a defensive midfielder yesterday, and you got Souček coming forward.
And this is the thing, right? So this is my thing with. Look, I slagged off Souček a bit, and then he went and got. He's got us important goals this season already, right? So he is a key part of the side. The thing for me is you are sacrificing your most creative footballer, probably the best footballer in the club, to play Souček in the side. You're putting Paquetá wide left, right? It's an absolute joke that you're sacrificing that player who makes things tick to keep Souček in the side. I'm sorry, Souček, as I said, he's got important goals. He has a lot, but Souček playing in that number 10 role is absolutely pointless when you've got a natural number 10 in the side.
Souček is not a number 10. If anything, if I look at Souček, where I think, where would his best position be apart from the bench? It'd probably be, I could see him maybe sitting in front of that back 4.
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Being a bit more like that, a bit more defensive, but when we get the corners and that, then get up forward. Someone like Paquetá needs the freedom in that midfield, but he needs workers around him, and you've got that in Alvarez and Ward-Prowse. And if you can get them free in a triangle in the middle, then David Moyes, he won't get as many critics, and we'll get more wins than we'll get losses this season.
And this is it. You look at that three there. You Paquetá, Ward-Prowse, Alvarez. You've got two players. Ward-Prowse can play the holding role if needs be. He done it for Southampton, but with Ward-Prowse, he's got that quality on the ball that Souček does lack. I know what it sounds like. I'm digging Souček. I like Souček, and as I said, he's got a lot to add to the side. But our strongest midfield three doesn't have him in it, and for some reason, I think a lot like when Moyes was at Everton with Fellaini, Souček is his Fellaini. The difference is with Fellaini, he was a bit of a better baller than what Souček is.
Yeah. There's a time and a place for Souček, and it's not every week. It's those games where we are going to be very limited to set pieces, and we are going to be having to go more defensive, and you need his grit and steel to help break up play a bit. But to have him on, like you said, for the 90 minutes when he did nothing, it's decisions like that Moyes doesn't do himself any favours in.
Do you think, though, looking at it, I mean, I think it's a bit too much for Souček to play 90 minutes on Thursday and start on Sunday. Do you think maybe that he might maybe switch it on Sunday, and that's why he left Souček on and took off other players a little bit earlier?
Do you know what, Ryan? I'd love to think that.
Yeah, same.
But it's not going to happen, mate. He's going to start.
Listen, I'm expecting the same lineup as what started against Aston Villa. I said it the other day in a video that I've done about Antonio, that he needs to be dropped. And I wasn't saying that to criticise Antonio. I'm saying it for good of Antonio, because I want Antonio to get that fire back in his belly. I want him to be dropped. I want him to be on that bench, because an angry Antonio coming on can only benefit West Ham.
Yeah. And this is the thing. And again, we saw last night Danny Ings playing as a lone striker. As we said in the chat, I know we had a bit of a laugh about it, but he's a fox in a box type player. He's a player you want in and around the 18-yard box, not a player you want
more like a rat in a trap.
Rat in a trap, yeah. He's not a player you want going out wide for the ball. He's not a player you want holding the ball up. He's coming towards the end of his career. You're asking too much of him to play that lone striker with, the players not up and around him. You got Kudus, who seems to be slowly bedding into the club. He could probably do with a go. But we are so reliant on Antonio in the side, because it doesn't work with anyone else. It doesn't work with Bowen up there. It won't work with Kudus up there because of the way we play. It's Antonio or nothing. And the problem is Antonio blows so hot and cold. And again, he's coming towards the end of his career. So you're relying on players that are getting older. But we've got two strikers, actual strikers at the football club. One's a youngster, one's the one coming towards the end, and then we've got a makeshift striker who is naturally a winger. And as we know from time to time, we either get the quality Antonio that looks unplayable, but let's be honest, probably 6 games out of 10, we get the Antonio that can't trap a ball.
Yeah, I mean, look, Antonio's still got a lot to offer this football club, and this season he's got a big part to play. But that's what I'm just saying. He needs to be dropped, and whether we start with Bowen up top and Kudus out wide, or if we start Kudus up front, he just needs to change it. But you can always look. You ain't always got to play the same way.
Of course not.
You can go. You can maybe going 3 at the back on Sunday against Everton. Maybe bringing Mavropanos in to play alongside Zuma and Aguerd, and just change something. Just try something, because Calvert-Lewin has got a great goal scoring record against us. He's a bit like the Scouts Callum Wilson, to be fair. He's got a great record against us. But I think we've got a good record against Everton in the last few years. I think we've beat them in our last 3 or 4 games with a run beating.
Well, before we go a bit ahead onto the Everton game, before we get in too deep, let's get some comments, and then we'll really deep dive, I guess, into the Everton game. Let's get some of the audience involved. E20 Zone TV says changes are well and good as long as we get results in the next few fixtures. Last night was bad. Kudus needs to start in the Premier League now. Absolutely. From what I was literally watching it on the way home, so I got bits and pieces. But he looked like the only player who actually looked lively and looked really up for the game in that first half. Kudus. So yeah, he's got to get his chance. Paul G says all fans have different opinions, but vast majority can't see how Ings plays and Devine doesn't get a sniff. Surely we can't all be deluded. Yeah, Moyes must see something that we all don't. Chris Mills, I think even the Moyes defenders are baffled by that. Chris Mills says, I think if we look on the bright side, we didn't spend money going to a place that rivaled Frankfurt as the biggest crap hole in Europe. Absolutely shocking display.
Yeah,
I heard it was a pretty bad away day yesterday. I see online
Mhm.
like they was not selling beer, like it was all
Well,
non-alcoholic.
it didn't look great. Some of the hotels people were staying in, and I think you had the big issues with the coaches. And the good thing for me is that there was no trouble out there. I think that's what a lot of people were worried about, especially with Panathinaikos playing at home as well. So yeah, I think the only one that got injured was that poor security guard that got knocked over by the coach that went flying.
I see that. Do you know? I see that.
If he'd have done that over here, he'd have got a booking for that. VAR would have booked him.
What a dive! Yeah, what a dive that was. He really took.
He's definitely someone that don't want to work, and he was looking for a bit of a claim up.
Yeah. We got Matt Powell says, by the way, where's Nicky and Graham? Nicky's in Miami, is it? Florida?
He's in Florida, yeah.
He loves it there, didn't he? He absolutely loves Florida. He's there like every year, it seems.
Nicky's in Florida, and Graham wishes he was in Florida.
Yeah.
Graham Nicky's house. Yeah.
He's actually on his way to Nicky's house because I spoke to him just before I come on. So he's on his way. But he's all right. He's all good.
Well, Nick Claret and Boo says, and if we're not in danger of relegation, it's perfect for a new manager to have what would be a huge pre-season ready for next season. Yeah, that is a good point.
I agree. Like if he leaves it, try to get someone in ready to go. So as soon as that final day goes, the new manager comes in and he can get to work on what he wants. And
I think what he's saying is like the argument for which I said about there's no point sacking him mid-season. We might as well wait to the end of the season, let him have pre-season. I think Nick's saying if you sack Moyes now and get a new manager in now, then they've effectively got a massive pre-season to bed in with the team ahead of next season.
Yeah, and I get that. I do get that point. But I'll be honest, I think it would be very harsh if West Ham sacked Moyes now. 9 days into the season.
Yeah,
I think it would be harsh. But
we're not in that situation where Moyes has to go right this minute. Look, the last 2 games haven't been great, performances and all that type of thing. They've not been great, but we're not at panic stations. Yeah, and if we get to the end of December or the January transfer window and we're out of the League Cup and we're out of Europe, then I'd sack him and get a new manager in and have that first transfer window in January and then have the time of pre-season because. I know we're just barely over a quarter way through the season, but I don't see us being in relegation trouble. But if we do go out of the Europa League and we are out of the Carabao Cup, what's the point of keeping him till the end of the season?
Nick's just said they're harsh or ambitious. I do get it. Look, there's no convincing Nick. He's Moyes, and that's one thing I will praise Nick with because he's not.
He's consistent.
He's consistent, and he wants changes at the football club. And look, I don't know Nick personally, but from what I've seen of him, I've watched, I've spoke to him as well. He just wants what's best for West Ham. We all want what's best for West Ham.
There was a lot of people like that about Big Sam back in the day. Do you remember? Like, doesn't matter what happened, they were not having Big Sam because of the style of football. Now, a lot of those people that didn't have Big Sam back then are the same ones that will criticize Nick for how he is now, forgetting, remember, a lot of you were the same with Big Sam. Didn't matter what he did. The boos at Hull when we won. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. The thing is, though, Dan, is when the crazy thing is that year when I think we got rid of Big Sam, me and Nicky bumped into Ian Holloway. We were going on holiday, and Ian Holloway was there, and he turned around and said to us, he said, "I don't get why you guys never liked Big Sam." And this is the mad thing. He's a professional in the game, been in the game a long time, and he sees what Big Sam does do. And let's look at the last season. Big Sam was there. Come to Christmas, we were doing all right, And to answer, I think E20's own TV's question there about should the club tell the fans whether Moyes is going to go? I think the mistake the club did then when Big Sam was going was they told the players. So the players just packed up and said, "Oh, we're not bothered no more. We ain't going to perform."
Keep the cards close to their chest. Keep the cards close
and that's what you've got to do. You don't want that sort of stuff coming out, because at the end of the day, look, we could get to January, we could be in a really good position. We could be, pushing for the top 6 in the league. We could be through to the last 16 or the quarterfinals of the Europa League, and be in a really good position. And the worst thing the club could then do is come out and say, right, well, at the end of the season, we're not renewing Moyes' contract. And then you got players who the fringe players who ain't getting a game and thinking, oh, sod this. What, I ain't getting a game anyway. Why should I bother? And then you get the first team players start going, well, we ain't here next season. Why should I listen to what he's going to do? Look, you should have professional decorum and be able to perform at your best, because at the end of the day, it's your job and that's what you should be doing. But we all know in the jobs that we do, there's times when you get deflated. And sometimes you need someone there to pick you up and push you that a little bit further. And if you know your manager's going, that takes that away.
It could work a different way though, because if you know the manager's going, you're a bit more happier. If for fringe players that ain't playing, if they know Moyes is going and they know that there's a manager on the outside looking in who might be coming in, then they up their game to think, well, this new manager can watch me from the outside, and as soon as he comes in, I'm playing my way into his first team. So
yeah. This is the thing. You've got to make sure you don't make the same mistake what Chelsea did last season. You look at Chelsea, they got rid of Potter, they brought Lampard in. Lampard was never staying. Chelsea didn't improve under Lampard. And, Poch was waiting in the wings to come in. What they should have done was got Poch in the time they got Lampard in and just said to him, look, there's no pressure. Just go and implement your style of football.
Weren't Poch saying to do with PSG or something? He had to wait until a certain time.
Yeah, he may have done, but you can still put things in place. If you know he's the man you're getting in, you can put things in place.
Look, we all want what's best for West Ham. It's been difficult the last few weeks. I think we peaked at Brighton away. That's when we should have ended the season.
Yeah, end it now.
Top of the league, and it's the first time we won at Brighton for 300 years.
Yeah. But the thing is, right, when you look at them results, the Chelsea result, the Brighton result, you can see why a lot of the Moyes out people got justification in what they're saying. Because Chelsea, that first half was absolutely diabolical. And we were lucky, realistically, going at 1-1. The amount of chances we gave Brighton, if it weren't for Areola, pulling off save after save after save, we get thumped in that game.
Yeah.
And
I think we spoke a bit about on Friday night, Pint, I brought it up, was just about how, is it concerning that we're so reliant on that? We've been so reliant on Areola.
Yeah. And I thought it was a bit harsh. He got like people calling for him to be dropped after Villa. Look, he made mistakes against Villa. He lost his positioning completely with the goal that he got beat at the near post. But he's the reason we got the points against Chelsea. He is the reason we got the points against Brighton. And I think people are too quick to forget about that.
That's what we need. That's what we need. One thing we need to do is stop leaking as many goals as we are. And as you said, Areola's been brilliant this season. I know he's conceded a few, but he's pulled off some great saves that has kept us in games and won us games at times. Could he have done a bit better at Villa last week? Probably. But look, I'm not going to criticise. It's always hard to criticise a goalkeeper when you've got a leaky defence in front of you. Because if he's facing 16 to 20 shots a game on average, you're going to concede. You're not going to stop every shot, but we just need a mix about in that defence, a bit of a change around, because I feel that Zouma and Aguerd, as much as they worked well together last season, this season they seem a bit off. Maybe going to that back three. Maybe going to that back three. Maybe
I think we've got to try it. We got to try it, and I don't see with how many goals we're conceding. And I'm not a big fan of it, but I would like to try it. Let me quickly get to this one last question, and then we're going to really go into the Everton game. Chris Hughes says, problem Moyes has is he has to win games because of his style. If he doesn't win, he's instantly under pressure. If you're playing like City and you lose, you can deal with it, but we don't. Yeah, I absolutely spot on. I've said that for a while. That is the thing. You can take it, this style of football, if you're winning games, but when you're not winning games, it's really hard to take. So I think it's spot on there, Chris.
And that was a bit like Big Sam, wasn't it? Like back in the day, like when we was talking, like if you're winning, you forget about you just enjoy winning and the results. Now Scott said we was fourth at Christmas, and, and we could have pushed on, but that's the thing is with managers like Moyes and Big Sam and other managers like that down the years is they don't care about, how can I say this, like all they care about is getting a result, and they don't care how they do it. They don't care how many times. I mean, look at that time we went to Stamford Bridge and drew 0-0, and Chelsea must have had about 200 shots on goal. But we just fucking shithoused it somehow. And we've done that so many times. Like you said, this season, Brighton, we was defensive, but on that day, every time we seemed to go forward, we created something and we scored 3 goals.
But that's the thing, though, right? When you're playing that counter-attack style of football, you've got to make your chances count. Brighton, Chelsea, we did that. That was a pure display of how you counter-attack football. And that's the thing with both them games. We did that perfectly. The problem is you can't play that way against the so-called weaker sides who don't want to have the ball as much. So you've got to then adapt. You've got to change your system, right? And then when you're not taking them chances, you need a plan B. We don't have that plan B, and that is the problem. The Moyes is so one-dimensional in the way he plays, especially now. When you again Danny Ings, Mubama, you're playing them players as a lone striker. Why are you playing them players as a lone striker? You need to be playing. You need to support the striker. Your striker's going to get you goals. Danny Ings will get you goals, but he won't get you goals playing up top by himself. So you have to change the system to suit the players. Moyes picks the system and then plugs the players into the system. And it's not the right fit. The old classic square pegs round holes. And this is the biggest problem that he's got. We done really well in this transfer window with the players we brought in. Alvarez, absolute quality player. Wall-Press, quality player. Mavropanos looks decent. Kudus, I think once he gets in the side, he won't come out the side. He just needs to make that breakthrough and get into the side. But the one thing we lack is a striker. And that is where we made the big mistake. We should have gone all out and got ourselves a decent, quality, strong centre forward to play.
Can you see us getting one in January? Because that's looking critical. We have to, really.
Yeah, but who realistically is going to sell their prize asset? Mostly strikers are prize assets. Who's going to sell the prize assets?
Yeah, the thing, obviously, we got Ings in January, and I'm not saying, okay, let's get in it. But the point is, to me, and I've said this on a show, I think it might have been last Friday, I don't care, who it is. It doesn't have to be the star striker of some team. All I care about is the profile. I don't care about the stats, how many goals they've scored in how many games. I care about the profile of player. I care about us getting a striker that suits how we play. And of course, the problem is then if we do change managers, we might play a different way. But if we're going to get it, look at loans, or as long as you're not paying too much, let's get someone in that can suit how we play if Moyes is still here, and not just get a name with some stats. So look, they've scored 1 in every 2 games. Oh, that's brilliant. That is no, it's no good if they don't fit the system. That's the key for me.
Yeah, exactly, mate. You are right. Or just look to change the system when your main person isn't firing.
Yeah, but Moyes won't do that. That's the problem. We know,
and that's this is what I'm saying. He's so one-dimensional, and it frustrates me because I want Moyes to do well. He's delivered our first trophy of over 40 years. I want Moyes to do well. I want Moyes to do well if this is his last season, because as Ryan said before, Moyes does well, we do well.
Yeah, I think every fan, like whether you like Moyes or what, everyone wants him to do well, because as we said, if he's doing well, we're all doing well. We're winning games, and but you just got to get to that point where you just think to yourself, right, we need to make that decision. I know there's a few people there saying about Ivan Toney maybe like coming in.
I don't think we've got any chance.
I don't think that Ivan Toney for me is going to be an Arsenal player. I think that's
he wants to play for Arsenal.
Yeah. So, but we need someone like him. But when you look around, when I look at other teams and I look at Aston Villa, they've got Ollie Watkins. It's Callum Wilson at Newcastle. They're the sort of players we need. but we ain't going to attract them. We're not going to attract them away from what they're already at. So we need we need Tim Steidten to get his passport out, fly away on his little jet, and go and find us another little gem.
Yeah.
The thing is,
right, let me quickly answer this question. We'll answer this and we get into the Everton game, because this leads us into the Everton game. But so we'll quickly answer this one. This one's a question for you. If we lose to Everton, would you sack Moyes and bring in a revitalised Potter, give him half a season in January window to get his philosophy embedded? The reason why I wouldn't, and I'm not completely ruling out Potter. Obviously, he didn't have the best time at Chelsea. But I want us to take our time. I don't want us to just get Potter because he's available. I want us to take our time to get the right man in. I want Steidten to, choose the man that he thinks best. Like, apparently Alvarez said that when he was Steidten was convinced him to come in, he said, join my project. So Steidten sees this as his project. So I want him to choose the manager. If he goes, Graham Potter's part of the sort of manager I want to build it, then yeah. But I don't want to just sack Moyes, get Potter, and then Potter don't work out. I don't know about you guys.
I think that if you go by what you're reading, and that is that Alonso's obviously leaving Leverkusen. David Moyes is coming to the end of his contract. Tim Steidten loves Alonso. Alonso loves Steidten. It's the perfect match. But then it's a gamble because Alonso has never obviously managed in the Premier League, but he's got to get that experience somewhere. And when I look at what he played, what he's done at Leverkusen and the football they play, and we see it in pre-season firsthand, for me, he's going to be our next manager. That's who I think he's going to be.
And you look at it, right? If you look at it, managers that haven't had that experience, that have doing, obviously Arteta, De Zerbi, Postecoglou, we're seeing these managers that you can get from other leagues. And if you've got someone that's hiring that knows what they're doing and builds the projects around them, it doesn't have to. We have to look at the same managers that are just getting rotated in the Premier League over and over again, and the obvious names. I'm excited by the prospects of Alonso.
There's a lot of people saying there that Alonso's going to Madrid. So if that's the choice, if there's no, he's obviously going to go to Madrid. So then there's got to be other managers out there. There might be a manager that's already employed at another football club.
It doesn't have to be someone we've heard of, and that's the thing. How many Spurs fans were screaming for Postecoglou? Even obviously he was Celtic manager, people have heard of him, but how many people was going him? There's managers out there that we're not even thinking about that Steidten can then go, yeah.
I said it last season, and I'd still back him. I know he hasn't had a great start to the season, but I'd love to see someone like Thomas Frank at West Ham, the Brentford manager. I think the way he plays football and what he's done with Brentford, and no disrespect for Brentford, but if he took that next step up with the players we've got and what he could add to it, I think he will be great for West Ham. But that's a long time off yet. I mean, David Moyes is still our manager, and look, whoever comes in, just like I'll back David Moyes, I'll back the new manager. I'll back every manager that comes into West Ham.
Yeah, of course. Look, for me, Potter, I'm undecided. Jury's out for me on Potter. From what I've heard, when you look at Brighton, the place is a better place. The squad's a better team. Squad's a better squad, and I think they play better football under the new manager than what they did under Potter. Potter obviously going to Chelsea, I think it was the club's too big for him. I don't think he was ready for that step up. So yeah, he could come to us and do something, but with the players that we've got, I don't really see Potter giving us much different to what Moyes does, if you get what I mean. I just see we'd be a bit more of a like for like change. And I think that the problem we got is that with Steidten, he has a way, if he's looking at building a project and the board are backing him to build this project, you have got to let him choose a manager. But the problem you've got is we all know the Premier League is cutthroat. You don't perform in the Premier League.
With Alonso going to Madrid, with his relationship with Steidten, now you probably won't see this often, but Xabi Alonso's a very young manager, and Real Madrid managers don't last that long. So I know this sounds mad to say, but it'd be a better project to come to West Ham in the Premier League than it would to go to Madrid. Because, and that's, I know that sounds crazy to say, but
no, I think you're right. It's about timing, and I think
Yeah.
it's the same for players as manager. He could come to West Ham, smash it, and be in a better prepared, in a better place to then end up going to Real Madrid after gaining more experience under his belt. But I mean,
it sounds bad, right, when you say it this way, but he could use us as a stepping stone.
Yeah, and
Right?
sometimes
so it's a win-win. It's a win-win that we get someone who wants to change the way this football club plays football. We get a more attractive style of football. Hopefully, we push up further up the table and we nick another trophy. But he can use that to put himself in the Premier League. Oh, look, I'm in the Premier League. I've done this with a West Ham side. I've took this. Because look, there's money there. We've spent big money. There's money there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We've got what, the second largest average attendance in the Premier League.
Yeah, we're the only club this season that recorded a profit. We're the only profitable.
There you go.
Club.
So things behind the scenes seem to be ticking over quite nicely. Right, we've still got the rumours that Sullivan's going to sell up and all that, so that could all play into account as well. So you've got to look at it that, like players do, they get into a club. Look, Paquetá, he's come to us. It's a stepping stone for him to go to a bigger club eventually. He's a quality player, but so long as we get the best out of him when he's here, and we get 100% out of him while he's here, that's the main thing. And if Alonso comes in and we get a new fresh style of play, a new type of players coming in, and we do well, then if he goes 3, 4 seasons down the line to a Real Madrid or a Liverpool or someone like that, we benefit. He benefits. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Well, look at Brentford. Brighton. They lost Graham Potter, and because of how well their clubs run and the planning, they was able to get De Zerbi in and not miss a beat. But we'll get to the Everton game before we get into.
Before we go to the Everton game, right? Can I
been saying for the last half hour?
Sorry, before we get there, look, I just want to say, because I missed the start, right? I wanted to say at the start, right? But I want to say thanks to everyone who, we all know I've had a lot of shit going on. I lost my mum a few weeks ago and all that, and you guys, my other mates and all that, you've been fantastic. What Nicky and Ryan said on the Friday night pint at the funeral, it absolutely, brilliant. I just want to say thank you to everyone in the chat who, I saw on that FMP who commented, people coming up to me at football I've never met, shaking my hand and all that type of thing. But just want to say massive thank you to everyone. Really, really meant a lot.
Yeah, we love you, mate. We love you.
I know. It's good to see them pearly whites back on our screen.
I know, man. I know. Listen, it's been tough. I've put on a brave face a lot. I've been away and stuff like that, and got my head sorted. But I'll tell you, if anyone's struggling with anything, if you've got mates, talk to your mates. Your mates are always there, and these boys, my other mates, have all got me through all this. So it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I've missed it. I've missed you guys. I ain't seen you. I've only seen you quickly at football and stuff like that. So it's good.
It's good to have you back, mate. It's good to have you back. And
get your preview sorted.
No, they're coming back, mate. They're coming back.
Yeah, well, we're sort of merged it, and this brings us on. We're sort of preview now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Match Preview. But before we get into like the lineups, the tactics, and that, do you think if we lose this game, it kind of changes the perspective of our season? Because I look at it now, we're able to look at it and say in the league, the only teams we've lost to are teams you kind of look at and go, fair enough. Man City, Liverpool, Aston Villa, even though obviously it was a horrific loss, but they're a team that haven't lost at home in a long time. I think it was like 11 weeks or 11 games or 13 games or something like that. And they're the only games we lost. So you can kind of look at the season and go, fair enough, we're doing well. Yeah, you look at them teams, fair enough. But if we lose to Everton, I feel like the perspective then and the narrative on the season changes. It goes from we've only lost to these teams to we're on a bad run, and it turns into a bad run.
When you look at the next few take away the league game, the cup competitions. You look at the next 5 Premier League games. We've got like Burnley, Brentford, Everton. I think Palace, Forest,
Fulham.
Fulham. So you look at them run of games there, and you think we should be picking up. No, I'm not going to say maximum points. I'd love that.
At least 10. I think at least 10 from 5.
Yeah, you've got because they're the teams that if you want to finish in the European spots, usually when teams that finish in European spots always take points off of them sort of teams, but nick some points off of the top 6 teams. And that's one thing we do. So we know Moyes' record against top 6, but these next 5 Premier League games on the run up to sort of say from now till the next international break at the end of November, it's a massive month for how our season is going to progress. Because you're right, if we lose to Everton, then we lose to Brentford. Say we lose to Arsenal in the cup and then lose to Brentford next Saturday, then people are going to go from 3 weeks ago talking about, oh yeah, we're going to battle for Europe. Now we're going to be looking over our shoulders, battling the bottom again. So this is why it's a crucial. These next 6 weeks are crucial for us, and especially David Moyes.
I think you're right, mate. I think the next 6 weeks will probably decide how our season's going to go. If we don't get a good points haul within the next set of games, then we are going to be come Christmas looking over our shoulder. This is the problem. I think this period is probably the most pressure for Moyes because he's got to get it right. Because I just think if things go wrong, I do see him going in January. So he's under a lot of pressure for me. And it's got to start with Everton. You can't sit there and rest players against Olympiacos saying, oh, players need a rest, we need to rotate. You can't do that and then go and lose to Everton.
No.
And this is the problem now. It's a Sunday game. Everton have had a longer break, but we can't afford to lose this one. I think Moyes is under a hell of a lot of pressure going into this game now because of the comments that he made after the loss the other night. We turned up and played for 10 minutes the other night. That was it.
I think what we need is we need to get back to winning ways. So I think if we're all offered a 1-0 win now, we take it. We need to get back to winning ways. But obviously, what I want to see an improvement in performance. I want to see, West Ham come out straight from the off and go for it. Get the crowd excited on the edge of the seats. Because the one thing David Moyes doesn't want to do again is start losing that crowd again. Because I think you found it towards the end of last season, the crowd was starting to get behind him again and get behind the team, and this season as well. And we haven't played a lot of home games this season, have we? How many home games have we played this season?
3? Is it 3?
Yeah. Newcastle, Sheffield United, Chelsea, and that's it, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, I feel like that's it.
I think so. Yeah, I think some of the tellers in the league. It's not many.
And we've got quite a good, you look at our record in 2023 at home. I think we haven't lost that many at home. So we need to
play City at home.
Oh, Man City,
yeah. That's the other one. That's the other team. I always try to forget about Man City.
Yeah, they don't count.
This is the thing, it's making the home games count. It's putting in the performances, and Sunday we need a performance. For me, Sunday we need performance. I think Emerson's suspended for this one, so he's going to be a massive loss. Not having him, and this is the thing for me. If we want to go 3 at the back, we need Emerson playing. That left wing back position is probably his best position, and he's had a really good start to the season. So that's what I mean. Losing him is going to be massive. I said if Soufal is injured again, another big loss for me. Yeah, Kerr's a decent player, but we miss so much attacking wires without Soufal being in the side.
He's been hard this season, Soufal, I think. Obviously, Creswell was on the bench, I saw, against Olympiacos. I don't know if
he's absolutely pointless if we play him, let's be honest. I hope I'm wrong, but he's pointless playing.
Yeah, it might be have to be a situation where you play Mavropanos, Aguerd and Zuma together.
The thing is, you can, if he goes 4 at the back, you can play Aguerd as left back, but then you're getting nothing coming forward down that left hand side.
I think Guerra can play left back as well, can't he? He's played in there before. Obviously, Ben Johnson's played there before, but how typical would it be that Creswell comes back as a man of the match performance and scores a free kick before?
You know what? I'd love it. I hope he does. He buried a lot of demons. I think with us winning the Conference League last season, his performances as well in some of the games last season leading up to the end, it's obviously, look, we know he's coming to the end of his West Ham career, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with him now. And Ben Johnson, as you said, he's another one that can play there. Look, there's a reason these players are not in the side.
Yeah, of course. But like I said, I don't think it's necessarily, like I said, you don't become a bad player overnight. And a lot of these players, I don't think, are bad players. It's just, and that's the thing, is that's why you need to give these players more minutes, because you're going to have to call upon them.
And the thing is, Dan, that goes back to Moyes again, where he doesn't make the substitutions early enough. Look, last night, get to half time. How many players could he have took off the pitch at half time that weren't performing? And this is the thing, he didn't, because he was so concerned about the Everton game, he sacrificed Olympiacos. That's what he done. He sacrificed it because he didn't make any changes at half time. There was players there at half time that needed to come off that pitch. Fornals, guy runs around a lot. It's fantastic, but what's the offer? Absolutely nothing. Especially playing him out on left wing, it's absolutely pointless. And he suffered over the last 2 seasons because of Moyes, because Moyes playing him on the left, because Moyes not giving him a chance in things. Look, he scored some important goals. The goal in the semi-final last year was a massively important goal. But is Moyes the reason we're not seeing the best of Fornals?
I think it's partly. I think that's part of the blame. Obviously, Fornals has to take some criticism, of course, and you can't put it on the manager. But I think positionally and obviously minutes is a big part of that. But I feel like with this game, there's no point in us setting up how we usually play and going into this game with a look to counter-attack, because Everton are going to come to us and they're going to sit deep and they're going to look to hit us on the counter. So you have 2 teams trying to do the same thing. You're just going to cancel each other out and no one's going forward. We're going to have to try and break them down.
The only thing that worries me about Everton this week, with what they've got hanging over their head with a points deduction, is that they're gonna want to win this game. They're going to want to get them 3 points. Because they're talking about maybe 12-point deduction. They're talking about. I think that this could be, if you're going to get a 12-point deduction, I think this season for a relegated team down there, this could be the best season, because I think you can make that back with how some of the teams are down there. But I think Calvert-Lewin is just going to stay up top. And as you said, it'll be, if we go like for like, it could be probably one of the worst Premier League games that you've seen for a very long time. But if we could just change it up a little bit, as I said, maybe bring in Paquetá in the middle, just change it up a bit. Maybe bring in Ben Rama back into the starting lineup. Drop Antonio, put Ben Bowen up top, Kudus out on the right. Give Everton something to think about and panic. But then again, this could be the perfect game for Antonio to play against.
But that's the thing. Antonio's had that rest. I think he played in the international break for Jamaica. That representing your country is a massive thing. But what's the point? They're not going to qualify for the next major tournament. He's going to be too old to play in it anyway. So why are you wasting your time flying out there doing it? Especially if it was I don't know whether they were playing a qualifying game or anything like that. But if it was a friendly, it's absolutely pointless. So you're wasting your time. But I would start Antonio in this one. I really would, because I think he's got the pace and the strength to put this back line of Everton's under pressure, and that's what we need to do. We need to put them under pressure from the off. Like you said, they're probably going to sit back and soak up the pressure, but we need Paquetá in the middle. We need to get the ball. We need to put them under pressure, and like you said, bring Ben Rama back in, or even bring Kudus in. Put Kudus out on the left.
Yeah, but what about instead of Kudus playing out on the left? Maybe, I know that we want to see Paquetá in the middle, but if he starts out on the left, Bowen on the right, and Kudus just behind Antonio, so he can feed off the knockdowns or the hold-ups, and Paquetá can drift inside and get involved in the game, and it's about them two changing about. So
we need Kudus and Paquetá together in this game, because we need that creativity to break them down. I was on an Everton channel this afternoon, and they were saying that, how they are going to sit deep, they are going to soak it up. And they were saying that set pieces are a big weakness for them, even though somehow Dyche hasn't got them defending well with set pieces, even though they've got big players. And the thing is, for us, I remember we played them a couple of seasons ago and they were really weak at set pieces. And we went into that game and we didn't create any corners. We had hardly any corners in this game. You're going to need players that can get onto the ball. If they're sitting deep, you go and you take some shots, and it's going to ricochet. It's going to go out for a corner, and then you have great opportunities for a team that is going to be sitting so deep and not coming out, and you're not going to be able to do what we do usually: play balls over the top, play on the shoulder of last man. You dominate that possession, dominate the ball, and you have a go and you have a shot, win some corners, and we've got players there. And that's the only argument I would make for Souček playing this game, because I would drop him. But if we're having that approach, obviously he's one of the biggest threats in there. Yeah.
Of course, and this is what we're saying. With Souček, he has got a role to play within this team, but I think you need to pick and choose the games and the times when you use that system. Look, he will get you goals. We know he's a massive aerial threat. He's probably not scored as many as he should have done, or he would have liked. The thing with Souček, he will give his all. He'll run until he can't run no more for you. But we need to evolve away from the Souček style, and we've got the players there to evolve, barring a striker. That's all. That's the thing. We've got the players to evolve into a good footballing side, barring the striker.
This is why it could be a good time to maybe drop Souček, because they're expecting Souček. Yeah. So if they're expecting the balls to come long and into the box, we play it about on the floor, and get the players on the ball like Paquetá. Let him run the game. Let him control that midfield. Let him drop to get the ball and pick the passes. Bowen's got 3-3 against Everton. So it's a team he likes playing against. So get Bowen involved more. Let Antonio drop off if he does start him. But look, we can all sit here and say do this, do that, but it's down to David Moyes. He's got to have that.
That's it, mate.
He's got to have the cojones just to do it. Just go for it.
Yeah, that's it. Not just go right, but the same team let the players go out to it. But what do you think about, Scott, asked you that with the midfield, we saw against Aston Villa, that was a big gaping hole in our side that they were just going through. And I think this game, when you have someone like Onana, who's, agile, mobile, he can drive forward with the ball, he's got strength. What do we do with the midfield in this game to, prevent that and to deal with that? Because I think he's going to be a handful.
Do you know what we do, Dan, is we make Everton worry about our midfield.
Yeah.
Player for player in our midfield and their midfield, our midfield's 10 times better.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the thing. You neutralise a threat from a player by making sure that you perform to the top of your ability to sit there and pick a side where they've got to say, oh, well, we can't let you get forward. We need you to keep an eye on this player. We need you to, and you do that by having a Paquetá playing in your midfield. Alvarez will shore up that. He'll sit in front of that back line and do the dirty work. And then you got Ward-Prowse who can pick a pass. Paquetá who's got that bit of skill. I know what you were saying earlier on, Ryan, before I come on about, there's times when he's a bit lazy. He tries things and then we get caught out. And against Villa, we got punished. But the problem is you're going to get that with that type of player. But that's why you need the other players in the side to be on their game. And I think that's part of it. The reason why he gets caught out is the other players weren't on their games.
I think that when you look at them, as I said, they'll leave Calvert-Lewin up top. And then have, is it Decore, who just plays off of Calvert-Lewin, and then Onana. That's where you got to get in their faces. Don't give them time on the ball. Alvarez. 100%. One thing I like about Alvarez is the boy likes to get involved. He likes to challenge. He don't care. And that's what we need. We need to be a little bit more aggressive, because I think against Aston Villa, it was like a tea party in that midfield. We set up a picnic basket and laid out the fairy cakes for them to eat and the cups of tea, and they just took the piss. And it was more aggressive, and they overrun us.
Yeah, and it was the same with Olympiacos last night. Look how far off every player we was. Look at the first goal. The way the geezer spun. Turned off a Ward-Prowse. The amount of room we gave him to get his shot. It was the greatest toe punt I've seen in a long time. But we gave him too much space. We gave them far too much space in the middle of the park, and that was playing with Souček, who is Moyes' best defensive midfielder. Ward-Prowse, who we said, his deliveries last night were poor. What was going on with the corners? Everton are weak at set pieces. If we take corners like we did last night, they'll clear every single one of them. Yeah,
I
we
think
put these corners into a near post area. It doesn't beat the first man, or the goalkeeper punched it. The goalkeeper didn't flap at anything last night. We don't mix it up enough.
This is when you look at someone like James Ward-Prowse, you don't want him getting involved in the battles. You
No.
want him to make the space to get the ball. And the first thing Ward-Prowse does is he looks forward. He looks, who's he going to play through? Where's he playing that forward pass? And then you need that protection around him. You know, you need to stop, because the last few games he's dropped off a bit and he's been found out. That when you look at the first few games of the season, when he had that free roll, like especially the one game that stands out for me was Brighton away, where he had that free roll and he just took the piss that day. He was spraying balls left, right, and centre.
Yeah, he's one of our best passers of the ball, and you're asking him then too much to focus on defending. You know,
But that's the thing. The problem is you can't really give him the free roll, because that's what you want Paquetá doing. You know, look, Paquetá we've seen and we know will work. You know, for some reason he's not. You know, he's not really. We're not seeing the best of him at the moment. But you've look. It's the age-old thing. Let your defensive midfielder do the dirty work. Let Alvarez do the dirty work. Don't do anything else. Win that ball. Give it to someone else. Give it to Ward-Prowse. Give it to Paquetá. Let them click. And then get your forward line on it. And that's what we've not seen. I don't think our forward line's on it. I mean, look, Bowen, you know, he's getting goals. He's been a bit lucky with a couple of them, but he's getting goals. He's on form, you know, and you need these players to give them the ball. Alvarez, win the ball. Give it your Ward-Prowses. Give it your Paquetás. And this is what we're saying with Souček. Souček has his role. Souček, we know, put the ball into the box. 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to win an header. Yeah, but we need to play through our midfield. We need to get on the ball. We need to move the ball a lot quicker. And we haven't done that. You know, last night we didn't do it. I didn't see all the Villa game, but we didn't look like we did it then. And as I said, to stop Everton's midfield, that's what we need to do. We need to make them worry about us, because we've got a lot of players that can cause them a lot of damage. But it's just, we need everyone firing. And at the moment, something's going on where not everyone is, you know, we're not all singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I pointed out on this preview earlier, one of the big players that I'm worried about is going to be a big player for them is Pickford, because even you know, he's been one of the most consistent players over the years of how bad they've been. He's a great shot stopper. The thing is, we don't get enough shots on target. We don't put goalkeepers under enough pressure, and we're going to have to do that and really make Pickford work, because he's a quality goalkeeper. He's England's number one, and yeah, he wins them points consistently. So let's really focus on, like you said, creating chances, putting the goalkeeper under pressure, and having a go. You know,
exactly, mate. Mix it up a bit.
I mean, trying to think the other players. They've got Harrison in there, who they've got on loan from Leeds.
Yeah, I still got flashbacks to that fucking hat trick he got.
Yeah, you know, so they have got players that on their day, you know, if they turn up and we're off, they will punish us. So we just need to make sure that we're on our game. Players, there's a lot of players. The players have got to improve. The last 2 games, I think, at the Villa game, Olympiacos game, I can't really pick anyone out that I thought, yeah, they've done all right. We were poor against Villa. Villa deserved it. You know, I can't even make an argument. As I said, the only thing that, if any weakness I could see from Aston Villa last week was their back line. They was playing too high and they were shaky, but we didn't take advantage of it. Exactly. We had that spell and we didn't take advantage. That's why, if we see that there's any nerves in Everton on Sunday, we need to hit them straight away. You know, if we go 1-0 up early on, you know, they're going to close up shop.
Yep.
If Antonio's going to play, he's got to make his runs better, because I see that as a big problem of why we couldn't take advantage of that high line. And I see this where Ward-Prowse is on the ball, and for some reason Antonio's going out to the left, whereas Ward-Prowse could either be playing a through ball or a ball over the top and split their defence. Instead, Antonio's giving him the only option out wide, so he plays the ball out wide. By the time Antonio's coming back in, a lot of their defenders have got back by that point.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's going, when you look at, when you're playing counter-attacking football, you know, you need it to be, you get the keeper gets the ball, boom, out to the player, boom, out to the next player, and then get the ball into the box. You know, it's a lot of times, I think you see it again last night. I think there was a time when we was on a break and we had one player inside their probably final 30 yards, and that was it. And you can't expect anything to happen because he's got 3 or 4 players around him. Again, the time the players were getting forward, they were getting more players back. We've just lost that emphasis and that quick boom, boom, boom. The quick one touch passing, the quick out there, cut the touches, ping into the middle. Because the players are not working hard enough. And again, it probably comes from sitting a bit too far deep. Last night being way off the pace. And, against Everton, these are things that could be rectified. Because, like you said, put them under pressure from the start. It worries me. Look, this is a Sean Dyche side. I'm sure Dyche has got a decent record against us as a football club. We've been up to Burnley, Ryan, seen some 0-0 draw and some bad results. So Dyche is one of them managers who seems to get the better of us at times.
We have to score first. It's critical that if both teams score, we have to be the first to score.
Honestly, mate, I think if we go 1-0 down, we lose this one. Really do.
Yeah. Or at best get a draw. I can't see us being able to coming back to win that game if we go down first. So
I'm just hoping that Everton are as poor as what Sheffield United were when they come to us.
Yeah, they were.
The thing is, though, why we struggled a little bit to beat them, didn't we? And this is the worry.
We didn't struggle to beat Sheffield United, mate.
We
2-0 up, and we just switched off.
But we didn't want to
concede a goal. I think we could have. We didn't struggle against Sheffield United. I think we walked off on the 60th minute and come back in the 90th.
We don't have that killer instinct to put teams to the sword.
But that's the problem. That's the problem for me. Look at the coming out in the second half. How many goals we conceded early in the second half?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's criminal.
You can't afford. We're not a team that can afford to switch off like that because we haven't then got the quality to go and nick another goal. This is the problem.
No. I just found, and I said it. I remember saying it at the game to Nicky when we went 2-0 up. I said, "That's us done for this game. That'll be us."
Yeah, happy with the 2-0. Let's take our foot off the gas and invite the pressure.
Yeah, because we need a good result on Sunday going into that Arsenal game on Wednesday night. Because as I said at the beginning, I think now that Man City are out of the League Cup, it's an open competition. There'll be a lot of teams that think they can win this, and I think on our day, I think we can be a team that can go far in the League Cup. And it's a domestic trophy that we've never won, and it's the first trophy on offer for the season. Final in February. So it should be a cup competition that we take seriously. And I think if we do get through against Arsenal, then you've got to be thinking that we can do it because we've got the players, we've got the squad, but they just all need to make sure that they start putting in these performances.
It's one of those, I think, with the Arsenal Cup game. It's how much Arsenal want to be in that competition. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what it's going to depend on because Moyes is sitting there saying that he rested players last night because we had Everton at the weekend. What's he going to do against Arsenal? Same sort of thing?
It is. Whatever team Arteta puts out is going to be a good team.
Of course he is, yeah.
They've got good players, they've got a good squad. And they're going to want to win. Arsenal have got that mentality now where they want to win every game. So they're going to want to win this. So I think that you'll probably see a similar side to what we played against Freiburg and back at Pola. I think we'll play a lot stronger team than we did against Olympiacos.
Definitely
any injuries, if we don't get any injuries on Sunday. But it's a game that we want to win. We want to win.
Let's get some predictions then for the Everton game. I've already said 2-1. I'm going to stick with it. The clean sheets just have been non-existent this season. I think it was back at Topla was the only game we got a clean sheet in this season, or was it Freiburg? There's only one.
Back at Topla, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Sheffield United, we got a clean sheet.
Yeah, Sheffield United, I completely forgot about it. Yeah, so a clean sheet's been very rare. So I can't see us keeping one Calvert-Lewin. I think he's gonna get his goal. But yeah, we'll go 1-0 up, and then I think it'll be 1-1. Then I think it'll go 2-1 West Ham. That's what I think.
I'm gonna go. I can see us conceding but I'm just gonna go 3-1. I fancy 3-1 West Ham, and I think it could be a game. I know this might I think it could be a game where we do go 1-0 down. And I know you said but I think it could be a game that we might go 1-0 down early on. But I just think that we'll have too much for them, and I fancy us to turn it around, and I fancy 3-1.
I think the atmosphere will definitely turn a bit sour if that happens.
Listen, I'll take a 1-0 90th minute winner. Give me that.
Yeah.
No.
3 points is 3 points. I don't care how we get it at the end of the day. We need to win. But if we go 1-0 down, we're going to lose 1-0. We go a goal down, we're not coming back. I look at it that way. But I think we will have enough to beat them. I think we will be too strong, and I fancy us to win 2-1.
Fancy 2-1. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, it's like comfortable. They get like little late consolation. It's no good. I just want to be relaxed because and like I said, I don't care how we do it. Now. But it would be torture, wouldn't it? Like, could you imagine it?
Listen, you know what's going to happen, mate? We're going to win 1-0. It'll be a Souček 90th minute winner because we've all been slagging him off.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. I thought he was going to get the equaliser, Olympiacos, yesterday. Yeah. I was convinced of it, and I was like, yeah, all right. But yeah, you don't mind. But yeah, I want to just lastly answer this question from Steve Bell. He's always here, always in the chat. Always, he's done so many of these super chats and that. So I just wanted to answer Steve's question. He just back to managers. What about Company? I know he's not having a great time at Burnley, but a young, hungry manager. Vincent Company.
I'll be honest. From what I think, the reason why Burnley are struggling this season is because Company's a bit like David Moyes. He's got one way and he won't change it. Burnley smashed the Championship last year playing this way, but he's come up to the Premier League. And look, I'll give him credit for having a go, but he keeps doing that. They'll be relegated by March. Look at Luton. Everyone tipped Luton not even to get most people tipped them not even get a point. I still think Luton will go down, but at least they're giving it a go and they're playing direct and they change it, and that's why they're picking up points. They was 2-0 down to Forest last week with 6 minutes to go, and they come back and drew 2-2. They've got a fight about them. Vincent Company, I think, has got potential to be a top manager, but unless he changes his ways, he's not going to ever get that step up to manage a bigger club.
I think it's just one of them. It just seems to be the wrong fit to me, like a manager like Company, because you play at a club like Burnley, who ain't really going to spend any money, ain't going to spend much money overall consistently, and you're going to be in a relegation rate. You just come up to the Premier League. You need managers that can consolidate that. They need a Moyes. Do you know what I mean? So just because I don't look at it and say, because he's doing, Burnley are struggling, he's necessarily can't manage West Ham, a club like West Ham. Like I said, yeah, you look at it and you think, he should adapt and he should try and do things another way. But that doesn't mean that his way isn't going to be really good for clubs middle of the table and upwards. So it's hard for me to go yes when he is struggling at the moment, but I wouldn't be totally against it. And with the squad, we give him the players that we've got, you're going to see it different, obviously.
That's the thing. That the step up from the Championship to the Premier League is a big step. The Championship is a very, very hard league to win. It's a hard league to get out of. You see that with sides that have gone down and still not come back. But whether to say I take him, I think that every manager coming into the club is a risk. I think if you're a stubborn manager and you play one way and one way only, you're going to come unstuck. And we see this with Moyes. We saw it with Allardyce and people like that they get results. But there's times when you
Bielsa was like that at Leeds as well,
Yeah, you've got when it's one of those with Bielsa. Look, when it worked, Leeds were fantastic. Leeds were really good to watch. But when people started finding out how to play against them, he's out the door because
they were still great to watch, even when they were getting battered like 5-1.
Yeah, it's that he didn't adapt his style. Yeah. You can have a way of wanting to play. You can have an idea of how you want to play. The problem is if you haven't got the players that can cut the mustard, then it's no good. Would a manager who wants to play more of a free flowing attacking game do well with us? Probably would, because you've got you've got the Paquetas, you've got the Wall Presses, you've got the Kudus, you've got Bowen, you've got players there. You're still missing a few chinks in the armour. Again, going back to the striker thing, that type of thing. You want to play more of expansive, free-flowing football. You don't want your striker to be Antonio.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People say, and that's why I sort of disagree with this, is about company won't get a big job because he don't change. Postecoglou has come and said, no, we're going to play this way. We're going to play one way. And this is how I want to play. This is how I believe the game should be played. And a lot of managers at that level who can play that, I think that style of football is more conducive to having better players and playing higher up the pitch.
Of course it is.
You just have to, it fits for teams. This is why
not being funny, Dan, but probably 90% of football managers who like to play more expansive style of football could go to Man City and with the players that they've got and do a decent thing. The thing for Postecoglou, I think, is that, as I said, and people laughed at me, Spurs are a better side without Harry Kane. He's coming to Spurs at the right time because he's installing the way he wants to play, and they've took the Harry Kane factor out of the situation by longing him off to Bayern Munich.
I like that. I love Postecoglou because he's giving these Spurs fans so much hope. Because I can't wait. I cannot wait because that pleb Jamie O'Hara, right? Let me tell you something about him. I see his thing last night when he said they should put an asterisk against West Ham's European record. They should put an asterisk next to him that he was ever a Premier League football player because he was the most shittest midfielder I've ever seen. And he lives off of that one goal that he scored against West Ham.
Yeah.
15 years ago. Like the geezer, like last season, he was slagging Tottenham off, saying, "Oh, since last time Spurs won a trophy, I've played for you, I've retired, I've been on Big Brother, I've done this." Now he's in the crowd tonight. He's in the away end at Palace, loving it. He's an absolute joke, the geezer.
The thing is, right?
And when you get that other one, what's his name? Cundy. Has anyone seen? Mate, he needs to be saying, "Has anyone seen his airline?" Because he's like, the geezer is an absolute. I can't listen to that shit no more. Dan, I listened to your interview the other day because it was you, but I can't listen to them anymore.
You know what though, right? I was listening to it, Dan, right? And you could tell Jamie was just putting bits in to try and get you to bite.
Yeah, if you watch them, because obviously Dan's on the phone, he can't see, but you can see them both looking at each other going, laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that. I didn't even see that.
Honestly, that Jamie O'Hara goes on like he was the best midfielder going, mate. He never won nothing in his career.
Was he not at Portsmouth when they won the FA Cup?
Huh?
Was he at Portsmouth?
No, I think he was on the bench for a League Cup final once. Honestly, the geezer acts like he's done everything. He's got to remember when he was 30 years old, he was sitting on Celebrity Big Brother. That's how much of a good footballer he was.
Yeah.
He was sitting in Celebrity Big Brother, and that's how desperate they were. He just about got in that starting 11.
Well, listen, he turned down playing football to go on Big Brother, mate. Don't worry about that.
He's been in the same lineup as what Jimmy Savile was. He was on Big Brother. That's not even a great thing. But look, I know these pundits. I know what TalkSport are about. They're wind up, but
yeah, of course.
Jamie O'Hara, he really needs to look at himself when he's sitting there saying about they need to put asterisks against West Ham's name. 17 games unbeaten, mate. If Tottenham went 3 games unbeaten in that Conference League, you'd have been buzzing. They all give it the big, "Oh yeah, we didn't want to win that competition." Mate, I remember when they won the League Cup and all their fans were crying and that. I got nothing against that.
No.
But don't diss the Conference League because they'd give anything to win it.
Do you know why I don't mind it as so much coming from him? Because, football is tribal, right? And when you have someone like who's Spurs and all of this, he's supposed to hate West Ham, supposed to hate Arsenal. When you get the Danny Murphys and the Keowns are supposed to be like serious, proper ex-pros. I don't consider Cundy or O'Hara as ex-pros. I know they kind of have played and all of that, but they're not. They're more known for being radio presenters than footballers. But when you get those Murphys and Keowns and all them talking shit, that's when that winds me up. Like if you're a Cundy and you're a big O'Hara, you're a big Spurs fan, you want to shit on West Ham, listen, bring the banter. Like I said, I can take it. It's those other ones. I hate people like Keown.
When I used to listen to TalkSport regularly, I used to listen to Alan Brazil's show in the mornings, and he used to have McQuest on there, winner, Ray Parlour, winner, Alan Brazil, winner. You listen to what they say, But when, like you said, when you listen to people like Danny Murphy's another one, he goes on like he done everything. he goes on that he won it. He was part of a Liverpool team that won them 3 trophies in a season. All right, fair play. But then, like, and Martin Keown's another one that I used to have a lot of respect for because he's won a lot in the game. But he's just another one. They all talk about Declan Rice now, like Declan Rice was only born 3 months ago. And now all of a sudden, Declan Rice is, the best thing. But yet, last year, he couldn't even lace Partey's boots, apparently. Or he wouldn't even get nowhere near Arsenal's team. Now they're all doing the conga around the Emirates wearing Rice Baby T-shirts.
And this is the thing, mate. This is where, look, we said for a long time, right? And Arsenal fans don't get why we despise the fact that Rice went to Arsenal. Right, look, Arsenal are a good football side. You know, they've got an all right manager. You know, they're very lucky. They're very snidey in the way they play and stuff like that. And I don't like Arsenal. I don't like the manager. You know, he's one of them. But we knew what Rice was doing. We didn't have a problem with Rice leaving the football club because we knew Rice outgrew the football club. And I think we're a better side at the moment without Declan Rice because we've invested well. But the comments that they've been coming out with, like you said, especially from pros who are Martin Keown, you know, he was part of a very, very good Arsenal team. You know, he's won stuff with them. You expect better. That boy was doing the same thing with us as what he's doing with Arsenal. The difference is now he's got probably better quality players around him, so he stands out a bit more. The only thing I agree with when you were back and forth with them the other night, Dan, was like Cundy said, now he don't have to sit back as much as he did at West Ham. But that's because he's got better quality around him.
Yeah. And that's why he looks like he looks better.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean he is a better, like they've coached him to
I
be
will still go back to what I said, right? Declan Rice playing for England, that boy has never played a better game in his life than what he has when he's played for England. And he did most of that in a West Ham shirt when he was playing for us. Right, yeah. That is the best games I've ever seen. All the games he's had for us, the best game I've ever seen West Ham play was playing for England. Declan Rice play was playing for England, and he was doing that when he was a West Ham player.
Yeah, and look, and this is what I'm saying. Declan Rice has been doing it. We've seen it. You know, it just shows that it's like another thing yesterday that I see, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. Well, to be fair, I do. It's the modern day. There was a Newcastle fan, and he was on one of these.
I know where you're going.
And he said that he would rather lose in the quarterfinal of the Champions League than win the Europa League. Now, you're talking about a club that haven't won anything for 60-odd years.
Yeah.
And yet he's turning his nose up just to say, we got to the Champions League once. They're going on about, but think of the prize money. Mate, you don't get any of that prize money. That money don't go into your account. The trophies, the memories, they go up there. You don't remember what 150, 200 million pounds you got for fucking getting the Champions League quarterfinal. And it's the first time. This is why, and I said it, if you want to reshape the Champions League model, make the Champions League for champions only, put them in their own league, that will benefit the Europa League and it will make the Conference League so much better because you'll have better quality of teams in them.
Yeah.
Finishing fourth and calling yourself you're in the Champions. You're not a champion. You finished fourth.
Now they're making it fifth. Now it's going to be you can finish fifth and get the Champions League.
And that's the thing. That's why the Champions League isn't. Like, it's a good competition. It's good size here. But what was it when Liverpool and Tottenham were playing in the final? You had the two teams playing in the final that hadn't won the top division in like 20 odd years. You know, it's pathetic. The Champions League should be just the teams that win the leagues. And this
Newcastle fan as well, the way he dismissed, he was going, "Nah, look, let Liverpool win the Europa League." Like, hang on a minute, Liverpool won the Champions League, the European Cup, how many times? They've won more trophies in the last 10 years than Newcastle have probably in their history, and he's dismissing them. He's just going like, "Oh yeah, little old Liverpool." I'm like, what is this geezer on? This is the problem sometimes with YouTube. People come on here and I'm sure he doesn't mean it. He can't mean it. He must have pressed that off button and gone, "Oh, I wish I never said that," because he can't mean that. He can't.
But we've said it all along, mate. Right? At the end of the day, you can finish fourth in the Premier League as much as you like. Right? You finish fourth in the Premier League every season.
Give us the Graham quote. But give us the Graham quote.
Yeah, the Graham quote is you can't put fourth place in the trophy cabinet, and it's true. What is the point of finishing fourth every season, playing in the Champions League? Oh, we're in the Champions League, and then getting knocked out in the quarterfinals. What is the point? It's pointless. It's absolutely pointless. Oh yeah, we're there. We're
Right.
playing with them, but we're never going to compete. No different to the Super League when they try to do that. Tottenham going in the Super League. What's the point? What, you're going to get battered every week by the Barcelonas and Real Madrids, but you're in the Super League. Fantastic. Good on you. It's just pathetic, mate. Look, at the end of the day, trophies are trophies. I will finish 17th every season if we won a trophy every single season. Because I've got that memory of winning a trophy. That night, that Europa Conference League win, that will stay with me for the rest of my life. It will stay with you for your rest of life, you with the rest of life, and every other West Ham, it will stay there for the rest of your life. Whether people think it's a 2-bob trophy or not, we won a trophy.
Well, it's like I said to that Jamie O'Hara, right? Is when we're winning that, when Bowen scored that winner, there was not a single thought in our minds that it's the 3rd tier European trophy. That did not the emotions. We all done the same thing. No matter Ryan was at the stadium, you was in your local, I was in the studio. Emotion, elation, jubilation. It did not matter. No one sat there and go, well, it's not Champions League, it's not Europa League, it's new, it's a 3rd-rate trophy. No, that it's the feelings and emotions that make the trophy, and we have great memories. And Newcastle, a lot of their dads don't even remember them winning the trophy, and they want to sit there and talk about quarterfinals.
Let's go back to when you had the European Cup, the UEFA Cup, and the Cup Winners' Cup. When English teams won those, did any of them go, "Oh, it's the third-rate trophy"? No. They won a European competition. You were the best team in Europe in that competition. Yeah. That's all that matters.
And the thing is, you know what? I know that bloke don't speak for what Newcastle fans, because look, I'm glad what Newcastle are doing, like especially getting in the Champions League, and that's a massive achievement. And I'm sure if you asked a lot of the Newcastle fans, would they take winning the Europa League, going out in the quarterfinals of Champions League? I think most of them, 99% would probably say yeah, but I'm just like, oh mate, it goes on about the Champions League, right? He won't want the Europa League. Let's rewind back to earlier this year when they released documentaries because they got into the League Cup final and they were all waving their black and white flags down Wembley Way. So
they thought they were winning that.
Hey, listen, when you look at the League Cup, it's the third rate cup of English football.
I just don't get some fans. As Dan said, mate, look, it might have been a third-rate European Cup, but it's still a European Cup. It's still got us in the Europa League, and it still gives us great memories. Exactly, and no one can ever take their memories away. Like I know people that, obviously, family that were there in the 1980 FA Cup final that still remember it and still love. That's what it's all about, memories. Who cares? Who gives a shit what prize money we got in 2006? Who's gonna fucking remember that? I want the FA Cup, not fucking 1.4 million for getting to the final, because I don't see that 1.4 million. If I did, I'd think different.
I want to see my captain walking up them stairs at Wembley lifting that trophy, whether it's the League Cup trophy or whether it's the FA Cup trophy. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. No, spot on. We've got super chat here from Drano Hammers, $4.99. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Hope you're well. Great show, fellas. Got to say, please don't waste your time talking about epoxy spuds. They ain't worth the compost. Didn't see a shirt 3 seasons ago. Yeah, they were all Levy out like at the start of the season, and now they're winning the league apparently.
I've seen Nick say this a couple of times. When I said about the Champions League, I think that the finishing first Champions League, and then this is what I mean by restructuring the Europa League and the Conference League, make them bigger competitions, and then you have second, third, fourth, maybe getting the Europa League, and then 5th and 6th in the Conference League. And maybe 7th, just restructure it. Like, I'm not saying 1 and 2nd Europa and 3rd, because that won't work. But I just think that, and then UEFA would get their Super League that they want. You get all the champions, and then you can fight out.
The thing is, you could even possibly throw in the situation with the Champions League. You could have the league champions and what you class as the highest trophy. So, like the FA Cup. You could have the FA Cup go win, isn't it? Because it helps with the prestige then of your number one cup competition.
You'll see more teams going full strength in that,
because
they think, we ain't going to win the league. Let's treat that like
it makes everything more competitive. And look, all right, the problem then comes is that you'll probably then get the winners of the FA Cup would be the bigger side season after season, and that does make it a bit boring. The glamour of the FA Cup we know is the underdog story; it always has been, but. You just I'm with you, right? The way the UEFA are going to restructure the competitions, is it's ridiculous. You know, the fact
thing
that
is,
they're going to have a league structure. The top 8 automatically go through, then the middle 8 play the bottom 8 to go through, and it's just basically set to make sure that the big clubs don't lose out.
10, 15 years time, right? If in a quiz competition they said West Ham won the league, won the Conference League, where did we finish in the league that year? Probably 9 out of 10 of us ain't going to remember.
Nope.
Where did we finish in the league in 1980 when we won the FA Cup? Where did we finish in the league?
Exactly.
All right, 2006 I know because obviously we stopped Spurs getting in the Champions League, but you know, it's one of them ones that no one gives a shit about league. As long as we're out of that relegation zone and we win a trophy, you don't care. Like you want to win trophies. This is what it's all about.
I remember that. I remember the night where I was, the Bowen goal, and I remember the words exactly what I said to Graham as soon as that goal went in. And I'll remember them. I remember all of that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Graham, get your tongue out me mouth.
Oh, God. Well, what a way to end it.
No, but yeah, anyway, 3-1.
Yes, let's do it. Look, let's smash Everton. And we've got a great run of games coming up, winnable games. Let's go on a good run. And hopefully that was just a blip. And yeah, enjoy the football. And obviously, hopefully smash Arsenal on Wednesday.
We beat Everton, we beat Arsenal, and then we beat Brentford. We're massive again, and we're going to win the league.
Yeah, exactly. And I will shamelessly be there.
Why we love football and we love everyone's opinions, you know. And we've seen a few people in the chat that, and obviously Nick from Claret and Booze is on here, and he gets a lot of stick on the Twitter and that. But you know, it's all good to have our own opinions, and you know.
Yeah, debate them respectfully.
Listen, mate, if we all had the same opinion, life would be boring. So it's good to have, it's good different opinions. The one thing I don't agree with is the abuse that people get for having their opinion. At the end of the day, we've all got different opinions. If you don't like someone's opinion, you don't have to like it, but you don't have to give someone abuse for not liking it.
Look at where the abuse is coming from. Fake accounts, trolls.
Yeah. Keyboard warriors and like.
I tell you what, when I was going Upton Park, and some of the stuff I used to hear about Noble and that from I would have got into fights if
I used to have some geezer that used to sit behind me right at Upton Park in the last couple of years, last 3 seasons there when I moved to the Trevor Brook in Upper because I took my daughter, and this geezer used to non-stop slate Noble, and I remember turning up for Noble's testimonial, and the geezer was there, and I said to him, "Why are you here?" So I'm showing my appreciation to Noble. I went, but all you've done is slated him, like non-stop slated him. And I'm like, fucking hell, like this is what I'm saying. And I remember once when me and Nicky used to sit in the Bobby Moore lower, and we used to have this bloke behind us, and he just hated Colton Cole. Didn't matter what Colton. And I remember once we literally just kicked off, and he was slagging Colton Cole off already. And I'm like, mate. The geezer hasn't even rolled the ball to Airwood yet, and you're like slating him. And I'm like, some people are like that though. Some people just like to go over West Ham, and I think they've had a bad week and they just want to take it out.
But that's why it baffles me when people say, "Oh, this moaning about West Ham is modern fans." It's like you've never been to Upton Park. If you think that honestly, it was one of the moaniest bloody omens you can be in. Week in, week out.
I think what it is, I think people go in football, that it gives them the opportunity to voice their frustrations. And I think
it's therapeutic.
Certain people take a dislike to certain players, and the thing for me is when you criticise a player, right? Dan, me and we got slated 2 years ago, I think, or whenever it was, for criticising Bowen.
Yeah.
But when you criticise a player, if that player then does well, you've got to be man enough to sit there and say, you don't just criticise. You've got to pick. Yeah. If you're going to criticise, you've got to be man enough to stand up and go, you know what? He had a blinder today.
Your mate who stands next to you, he's on Antonio's arse all game long, mate, isn't it? It's one of them. And you're just like, all right, you
always get that. You always get that. You always find that someone's got that one player that don't matter what they do. Like Colton, got the amount of times Colton Cole, like I think that's why a lot of the people in the bottom or lower, like why they sort of took a love into Colton Cole, because this bloke was just constant. He walked in, because back in the days, like not so much. I'm going back even a little bit further, and I'm trying to think of some of the players then, because sometimes you wouldn't even know the team until you got in the ground and see it on the score, like on the board. Like, because you didn't have the phones to see the team, and you'd walk in there, go, "Oh, for fuck's sake, he's playing today!" Like,
yeah. But it makes you almost root for that player even more, just to shut him up. Like, I'm like, go on, Antonio, just fucking score, just to shut him up.
I think Nick
said
that.
Dad, to give him credit though, right? When he does do something right, he does say it right.
He does,
he
but he's just ruthless with it. It's like, look, just at least wait. Let's let the game warm up. Like, we've only been playing 5 minutes. You got to warm into the fucking game. But you're right. I remember Colton Cole used to get it. Kevin Nolan used to get it brutally. No ball. Oh, he's passing sideways and backwards, pass it forward.
The thing is, I think with a lot of the noble stuff and all that, the abuse that you get, it's the understanding of the game. You know, passing the ball backwards and stuff like that. It's keeping the ball moving. It's keeping the ball. It's one of them. It's frustrating at times, because sometimes when you're standing on the sidelines watching, you see a pass that maybe the player doesn't see because he doesn't get his head up quick enough or doesn't see it.
We're in the stands and we can see the players' positions. Yeah. When you're pitch level and you've got two midfielders running towards you, you haven't got time to look up and see. So sometimes, like the amount of times I'll see players play the way they're facing and knock it back, and we keep the ball. And they've got two players up their arse, and yet there's people sitting behind me that look like they can't even walk up the stairs. And they're like, they're slagging the player off, going, go forward. And I'm like, how can he go forward? Like, I'm like, sometimes like, listen, I've never been a professional football player, but I've played the game of football like most people. So you know the basics. Like, and I'm just sitting there thinking, fucking hell, man. You're talking about a player you want to ball a player to hit a ball 50 yards when he's got two players up his arse that are a yard away. I'm like, who do you think this geezer is, mate?
Yeah, and I think that's why because we go to games, we're a lot more tolerant of just someone having a moan on Twitter. You can keep scrolling. If you don't like what they've said, keep scrolling. When you've had to sit there for 90 minutes with some fucker in your ear roll, moaning all the time, giving players unnecessary stick, social media is nothing. Like, someone might just go, I don't agree with that. Keep scrolling. Someone, like, honestly, the geezer, as he's been slating the players so much, he spit coming out, sprayed the back of Nick Tucker's head, and Nick Tucker was like, "Oh, he's got to chin him."
It's like when I see people scream, like literally, like they're gonna burst a blood vessel, where they're like screaming "man on" and things like that. Like, I'm like, why are you stressed? They can't hear you.
I'm not gonna lie, mate. I do that sometimes because it's the old football manager coming out at me.
Yeah, but Scott, you're near the front. We're up like, this geezer, like, he's going, Antonio, do this. I'm like, mate, he can't hear you. Like, you're going to give yourself an heart attack. Like, calm down. Go and get yourself a £10 hot dog and calm down.
It's like the old Lee Evans joke when he turns around and says, there's always that one guy who's sitting there shouting these instructions out, and all of a sudden, what do you expect everyone to go, right, everyone quiet, just you know, what do you think he should do?
I always do that to Nicky. When Nicky slags the ref off, I'm going to go to him, what would you do one day if the referee heard you and he come marching up them stairs and you shit yourself and run? It's not like someone just said there, you go back to Upton Park, like, before it was redeveloped. Used to be so tight, like, you could shout abuse, you could get in, but when you're sitting at the back of block 229 at the top, like, where you like, and you're screaming and shouting, and I'm like, mate, what? You like, calm down, just relax.
The thing is, like, even I hate that fans shouting instructions at players, because you're just annoying them. Well, they're not going to sit there and listen to a fan, are they? And go, play it forward, go round him, do this, do that. Oh, okay, fuck. Like, you got thousands of fans all giving you different instructions, and you're going to sit there and go, right, let me listen to Jeff in row 6.
So Antonio on match of the day. So Antonio, not a great game today. What happened? Well, block 229, row 306. Big John at the back told me to man on, and I'm like, it don't happen, mate. Just look, some people do make me laugh. I know they like to think they're like the managers and like they're shouting things that they've heard on the telly that they ain't even got a clue what they're saying. Like they've heard Gary Neville say something, so they're going to the game the next day going, right, I'm going to get this one in. Move. He ain't got a fucking clue, is he? He just wants to get down the carpet with his arms and have a beer.
Fucking hell. Honestly, we got it all to look forward to on Sunday. It's going to be... Oh, and like I said, if we go and go down, that's when it gets worse. Then they really go, right, I'm going to sort this team out. I know what needs to be done. Yeah, it's weird. Like me, I just stew. I sing when the songs are there, but a lot of the time I'm not shouting. I'm just like, fuck's sake, come on, sort this out. Like, I've never been one to go, play it this way, play it that way.
The one thing about where we are, Dan, is that we've got a good group of people around us, but everybody's different.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Nick is just fucking... Where does Nick sit? Because I'm sure there's a bloke that sits behind me that shouts that, press. I'm like, mate, it's half time. They're doing the quiz. He's still sitting there going, press him. Antonio, press. Press. Fucking hell, press. Like, fucking hell, press what? There's nothing happening.
You use listen, when you're managing Sunday League, you use press quite a bit.
Do you know it's all Sunday League buds who think
that's what it is, mate. Honestly, someone posted a video a few years ago of like Sunday League sayings, and they are some great sayings. But it is Sunday League.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to hear the most Sunday League comment that I used to hate. Whenever it's 0-0, lads. No, you're not.
You just scored 0-0, lads.
We're 6-0 down, John. It's not 0-0.
See, this is the thing. I shout at the telly. When I'm watching it on telly, I'm shouting at the telly. When I'm at the game, I'm not shouting at the players because I'm like, but at the telly, I've so many times I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
to be fair, that's an exception. You can do it to the telly. When you're at home, that's a different one.
Yeah, shouting at the players.
I think I find when I'm sitting watching it telly, especially when I end up talking to myself. You know, because you're sitting there talking to the telly, but technically you're talking to yourself. Do you know what I mean?
It's mad, isn't it, what we do? You just get wrapped up for 90 minutes. You just get wrapped in this world where, like, you just forget everything and you're just shouting at a telly like they're going to stop the game and go, hang on, Ryan's got something to say at home. Let's go live to Ryan's house.
Yeah.
It's fucking... Oh, I love it.
Do you know what? Like now we've had this conversation Sunday, we're going to be hyper aware of who's around us, who's doing what and who's saying what.
We'll come on here next week and go, here, Dad, I heard you in the crowd shouting press.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to shout it.
On Sunday, you hear me go like that. Box them in.
Fucking hell. I can't wait now, honestly. But yeah, do you know what? It's been a great show. I had a good laugh at the end. I feel like we need to get that off our chests.
We turn a very negative start into moaning about Sunday League sayings. So it's a bit like an old Friday night pint now.
It's got years and years of frustrations of going to games with other fans. We just to get that all out of our chest.
That's the one thing as well that I just want to say before we go is that I used to love back in the days that you used to, like, even before we'd done this channel and before Twitter and all that was about, is that you used to go to the game, win, lose or draw, you go to the pub after, or if we was too young to go to the pub, you go and get something to eat and you'd fucking moan about the game and you'd have arguments, but then you just forget about it.
Yeah.
But nowadays it carries on Twitter all night, on social media, and it can go on for days. And that's one thing I do miss. I love doing this channel, but that's one thing I miss, the old days when you used to have the little fucking debate in the pub and then you go home and then the next day you see each other and you forget all about it and you just...
do you know what? I think about that all the time. I always miss that as the being able to, like I said, the next day you forget about it until the next week. And it's not nowadays, because obviously we do YouTube, so we're talking about it all the time. Like I said, you're going on social media, you're seeing it every day. you can't switch off from it, and that is what it was. I do like that moan, like you said, moan to the high heavens after game. Oh, we shit! Oh, fucking hell! And then
sometimes I didn't even know we signed a player until I see him in the team sheet, or when I bought the Nurem recorder and read. That's the only reason I used to buy the Nurem recorder was to read the West Ham bit, or just to see who was getting married, or something like that, or who's been robbed.
You know what? I remember opening it up and seeing bloody Damo in there after he got stabbed in Forest Gate. His claim to fame is he was in the Newham recorder.
my claim to fame in the Newham recorder was when I scored from the halfway line for Newham, Scott.
Yeah,
still got that cut out somewhere. Archer from the halfway line.
Every
time we do, I'll bring that scrapbook out. And no, it wasn't five-a-side, before anyone says, you cheeky bastards.
Yeah, honestly. But yeah, a lot of fun, guys. In the end, we got our frustrations out at the start and our worries, and we ended it with.
I feel like I've got a little bit of Tourette's now. I'm like, in my head, all I want to say is press.
Let's do it right Sunday. Let's all
you're just gonna hear three geezers just sat and press the whole game, and you're gonna look down the line, and there'll be Ryan up there, me and then Dan.
No, we should try and get it going around the stadium.
You got you going press, Scott saying box him, and me going move. Come on, Moyes, where's the subs?
Yeah, 10 minutes in. No, I think you should try and get all 55,000 fans shouting press together.
No, you don't know. The easiest way to get going, get all the fans just go man on. Yeah,
man on,
everyone at the same time, man.
Yeah, you get all the players going. What the fuck? There's no fuck.
Yeah, but back in the days at Upton Park, like when people used to say "man on, mate," we meant "man on," and the players used to actually listen to that as well. I remember I remember once when I was only young at the time, and I was sitting in the I think it was a chicken run, the first time I've ever sat there, and I remember all shouting "man on" for John Moncur. And he got the ball and he turned around and he gave us a clap like that.
Yeah.
Pretending the man on.
And then afterwards, I was like, right, vindicated, right? We need to do this more often.
I'm sure he meant that. I'm sure that clap was for me. I'm sure he meant it.
Oh my God. But yeah, honestly, can't wait for the game Sunday. Famous last words. But it's going to be a good one. We'll be back. Obviously, Nikki is away, so it's the three of us. We'll be there after the game. Come see us for a fan cam and all of that jazz. So, yeah, leave your comments below. Thank you, everyone that chatted, all the super chats, normal chats. It's been great, talking to you all throughout the game. Like I said, we'll be back for Sunday. One thing left to say, lads. Come on, you Lions. Shit, I fucked up there. Come on, you Lions. End the stream.